All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to talk about a piece of modern JavaScript that you see absolutely everywhere, but maybe you're not 100% clear on. Arrow functions. We're going to break it down nice and simple. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been scrolling through some code, maybe on GitHub or in a tutorial, and you see this little fat arrow symbol? And you just think to yourself, okay, what is this magic? What's going on here? Well, if you have, trust me, you are not alone. So let's pull back the curtain on that mysterious arrow. It's time to finally figure out what this simple but incredibly powerful piece of syntax is all about. Yep, that symbol is the heart of what we call an arrow function. And no, it's not magic, but it is one of the most powerful and, honestly, cleaner ways to write functions in modern JavaScript. Let's really dig into what that means. Okay, so let's start from the top. What is an arrow function, and more importantly, why should you even care? At its core, an arrow function is just a more compact, a shorter, and let's be real, a much cleaner way to write a standard function in JavaScript. It came along with ES6, and its whole purpose was to make our code more concise and way easier to read. Now, here's where it gets really, really interesting. You get the shorter syntax, you get what's called an implicit return on a single line, but that last point, that is a total game changer. Arrow functions don't have their own this context. They actually borrow it from their parent, which solves this classic, super frustrating bug in JavaScript where the this keyword changes on you. This is a huge deal for writing predictable code. Okay, that's enough theory. The absolute best way to get this is to just see it in action. So let's do a side-by-side comparison. I promise you, this is where it's all going to click. First up, the classic, the original, the traditional function declaration. We all know it, we've all written it 1,000 times, it's predictable, and you know what? It works just fine. And now, here is the exact same piece of logic, but written with the modern arrow syntax. Just look at the difference. So clean. And here they are, right next to each other. See? It just makes sense visually. On the right, the function keyword, it's gone. Those curly braces, gone. And because it's all on one line, that return keyword is implicit. It's gone too. All that extra stuff just melts away, leaving you with just the logic. It is all about cutting out the noise, you know? You're left with just the inputs and what the function does. That's exactly what we mean when we say it's more concise and readable. Okay, so it looks neater. Big deal, right? Well, yeah, it is a big deal. This isn't just about making your code look cool. This is about leveling up your skills and, honestly, helping you build a professional career. The benefits here are just massive. First, using arrow functions immediately signals that you write modern JavaScript. That improves readability, which makes your code way easier to maintain. And here it is, the big one for your career. This is an absolute interview essential. And I can't stress this enough. Interviewers specifically use arrow functions as a test. They want to see if you're comfortable with modern ES6 features. They want to know that you don't just know what they are, but when and why you should use them. It's a key sign of a pro. So we've defined it, we've compared it, and we've talked about why it's so critical for your career. Now, I want to turn it over to you. After seeing it all laid out like this, what's your gut reaction? Do you prefer that sleek, modern feel of the arrow function? Or are you maybe a fan of the classic, more explicit style of the traditional function keyword? There's really no one right answer, by the way. It often just comes down to context and your team's style guide. I would genuinely love to hear what you think, so drop your preference in the comments below. And hey, if this explainer finally made arrow functions click for you, a like would be awesome, but here's a final thought for you to chew on. Now that you get the syntax, the real next step is mastering the context. When would an arrow function's this actually break your code? Think about object methods. That's a puzzle for another time. Thanks for watching.